The alert came during the night shift. Ambassador Krelix was reviewing trade agreements when his console lit up with red warnings. Something was broadcasting from the dead zone. That should have been impossible. The dead zone was what everyone called the old Sol system. It had been dead for 40,000 years. Nothing lived there anymore. Nothing could live there. The radiation would kill any biological creature in minutes. Even machines broke down in that poisonous space. Krelix pressed his 6 fingers against the console. His scales turned pale blue with worry. Computer, verify the signal source. Signal confirmed. Origin point Sol system sector 001. Ancient human frequencies detected. His hearts both skipped. Humans were extinct. Everyone knew this. The devourers had killed them all when they destroyed Earth. It was in every history book taught to every child across 1,000 worlds. Play the message, he said quietly. Static filled his office. Then a voice spoke. It was old, distorted, but clear enough to understand. Run. That was all. Just one word. But the computer indicated the message repeated in 847 different languages. Human languages. Dead languages that no one had spoken in 40 millennia. Krelix immediately called an emergency session of the Galactic Council. Within hours, representatives from 50 species gathered in the Great Chamber on Concordat Prime. The massive room could hold thousands, but today only the Council's senior members attended. This matter was too sensitive for the public. Council leader Thane stood at the central podium. She was a Vorlax, tall and crystalline, her body refracting light into rainbow patterns. We have all heard the transmission. The question before us is simple. Is this message real or fake? It must be fake, said General Cross. The old warrior slammed his fist on his desk. Humans have been dead for 40,000 years. This is someone's idea of a joke. A very bad joke. But who would make such a joke? Asked Minister Una. She was small, barely half Krelix's height, but her species was known for wisdom. The dead zone is forbidden. No one goes there. No one can survive there long enough to plant a fake signal. Perhaps it is an old message, suggested another counselor. Something that has been broadcasting all this time and we only now detected it. Krelix stepped forward. Permission to speak, Council Leader. Thane's crystals flickered green. Ambassador Krelix, you discovered the signal. Please share your analysis. I have studied the transmission carefully, Krelix began. He pulled up holographic data that floated above the council chamber. The message was not sent 40,000 years ago. The signal uses quantum encryption methods we only developed 300 years ago. Someone sent this message recently, very recently, within the last month. Silence fell over the chamber. This changed everything. Impossible, General Cross muttered. Nothing lives in the dead zone. A young voice spoke from the back. Perhaps something does live there. Something we do not know about. Everyone turned. A young Turthan stood near the entrance. She had green skin and 4 eyes, and she carried a datapad covered in notes. Krelix recognized her. Dr. Venn, a xenoarchaeologist. She was barely 30 cycles old, Dr. Venn, Council Leader Thane said slowly. You are not a council member. Why are you here? I requested she attend, Krelix said. She is our leading expert on human civilization. If anyone can verify this message, she can. Dr. Venn walked forward nervously. She was young for such an important meeting, and many of the older council members looked at her with doubt. But she held her head high. I have spent 10 years studying human ruins, she said. I have translated their books, examined their art, analyzed their technology. I believe this message is genuine. Based on what evidence? General Cross demanded. Dr. Venn pulled up her own holograms. Ancient human writing appeared in the air. The message uses specific grammatical structures that are uniquely human. It uses languages that were considered dead even before Earth's destruction. No one alive today could fake this perfectly. Whoever sent this message either is human or has access to perfect human records. But humans are extinct, Minister Una said softly. Are they? Dr. Venn's 4 eyes gleamed. We know Earth was destroyed. We have proof of that. But do we have proof that all humans died? This caused an uproar. Council members shouted over each other. General Cross called it nonsense. Others demanded evidence. Council Leader Thane had to use her amplified voice to restore order. Explain yourself, Dr. Venn, Thane commanded. The young scientist took a breath. The devourers attacked Earth 40,000 years ago. This is fact. But think about the timeline. The devourers were not fast. They moved from system to system, consuming everything. According to ancient records, humanity had almost 500 years of warning. 5 centuries to prepare. So, General Cross asked. So humanity was incredibly advanced, Dr. Venn continued. They had space travel. They had colonies on other worlds in their system. They had massive ships. What if they did not stand and fight? What if they ran? Krelix felt his scales shift color again. He had never considered this possibility. Dr. Venn continued, speaking faster now, excited by her own theory. We assumed humans died because we found no survivors after the devourers left. But what if they evacuated? What if they took their entire civilization and fled into deep space before the devourers arrived? Then where have they been for 40,000 years? Minister Yuna asked. Hiding, surviving, evolving. Dr. Venn looked around the chamber. And now they have sent us a message. A warning. One word, run. The council chamber fell silent again. Everyone understood the implication. If humans were warning them to run, something terrible was coming. Something bad enough to scare a species that had survived for 40,000 years. Council leader Thane spoke quietly. What do you recommend? Send an expedition, Dr. Venn said immediately. We need to investigate the dead zone. We need to find out who sent this message and why. That is suicide, General Cross objected. The radiation alone would kill any crew before they reached the inner system. We have new shielding technology, Krelix said. It is experimental, but it might work. I volunteer to lead the mission. I volunteer as well, Dr. Venn added. Council leader Thane's crystals flickered through several colors. She was thinking hard. Finally she spoke. Very well. We will authorize 1 research vessel, small crew, maximum shielding. You will investigate the source of this transmission and report back. If there is any danger, you will retreat immediately. General Cross stood up angrily. This is foolish. We should send a military fleet, not scientists. If this is a threat, we need information before we send warriors, Thane replied. Science first. Then, if necessary, war, the council voted. It was close, but the expedition was approved. Krelix and Dr. Venn would leave within a week. They would take a small team and the best ship available. They would enter the dead zone and discover the truth. As the council meeting ended, Krelix stood with Dr. Venn outside the great chamber. The young scientist was shaking slightly. Are you frightened? He asked. Terrified, she admitted, but also excited. We might be about to discover the greatest mystery in galactic history. Krelix looked up at the stars visible through the transparent dome above them. Somewhere out there, in the deadly radiation of the dead zone, something was waiting, something that had survived for 40,000 years, something that was afraid, that worried him more than anything else. If humans were afraid enough to send a warning after surviving for 40 millennia, what kind of monster was coming? He would find out soon enough. They would enter the dead zone in 7 days. Whatever they found there would change everything. The word echoed in his mind as he walked away. Run. The research vessel Horizon's Edge took 3 weeks to reach the dead zone. It was a small ship built for science, not combat. The crew numbered only 12. Krelix commanded the mission. Dr. Venn led the science team. Chief Engineer Bull kept the ship running. Captain Mayer handled navigation. As they approached the boundary of the old Sol system, every sensor on the ship started screaming warnings. Radiation levels were deadly. The space itself seemed angry, violent with energy that should not exist. Shields to maximum, Captain Mayer ordered. She was a veteran pilot, calm even now. Engineering, can we survive in there? For about 72 hours, Bull replied. His species did not show emotion, but his voice sounded worried. After that, the shields will fail. Then we die. Cheerful thought, Krelix muttered. Take us in slowly. Science team, start scanning immediately. The ship pushed through the boundary. It felt wrong, like pushing through thick mud. The hull groaned. Lights flickered. Then they were inside, and everyone stared at the view screen in shock. The Sol system was completely transformed. Nothing remained of the natural order. The planets were gone. Not destroyed, but taken apart. In their place floated massive structures that defied belief. By the ancestors, Dr. Venn whispered. What did they do? Where planets once orbited, now hung artificial constructs the size of worlds. Dyson swarms surrounded the star, drinking its energy. Computing arrays stretched for millions of kilometers. Structures that looked like machines and cities combined filled the space. "This is not devourer work," Krellick said. He had seen images of devourer destruction. They consumed and left nothing. This was different. This was construction, creation. The devourers destroy. They do not build. Dr. Venn was already analyzing the readings. Her 4 eyes moved independently, reading multiple screens. "Ambassador, these structures are old. 40,000 years old. But they are still active. Still functioning. Who built them?" Captain Mare asked. "Scanning for life signs," said Science Officer Trell. He paused. "I am not reading any biological life, but I am detecting energy signatures. Millions of them. Automated systems, perhaps." "Take us deeper," Krellick ordered. Carefully, they moved through the transformed system. Every kilometer revealed new wonders and horrors. They passed a structure that appeared to be a shipyard large enough to build vessels the size of moons. They floated by computing networks that could hold the knowledge of 1,000 civilizations. They saw weapons platforms that made their research vessel look like a child's toy. "These are human designs," Dr. Venn said suddenly. She pulled up comparison images on her screen. "Look here. These architectural patterns match ancient human structures I have excavated. The mathematical principles are the same. The aesthetic choices are identical." "You are saying humans built all this?" Ball asked. "In the middle of a devourer attack?" "Not during," Dr. Venn said slowly. "After. I think they built this after Earth was destroyed. They had the warning. They evacuated. And then they came back and built this. But why?" Krellick stared at the massive structures floating past. "Why return to a dead system and build all this?" "I don't know," Dr. Venn admitted. They continued deeper into the system. Finally, near where Earth once orbited, they found something different. A structure that was clearly a station, not a factory or weapon. It was smaller, only a few kilometers across, and it was broadcasting a signal. "That's where our message came from," Captain Mare confirmed. "The warning signal originated from that station. Can we dock?" Krellick asked. "There appears to be a docking port," Mare replied. "It looks compatible with our systems." Surprisingly compatible. They approached carefully. The station did not attack. It did not respond. It simply waited. When they docked, the connection was smooth and easy, as if the station expected them. Krellick assembled a team to board. Dr. Venn insisted on coming. So did Security Chief Vax. 4 others joined them. They wore full environmental suits and carried weapons, though no one expected weapons to matter if this place wanted them dead. The airlock cycled. The door opened. They stepped into the station. Lights activated automatically. Clean air, breathable air filled the corridor. The gravity was standard. Everything was designed for comfort. For life. "This is a habitat," Dr. Venn said. "People lived here." They moved through the station carefully. Room after room revealed the same truth. This had been a home. There were living quarters, dining halls, recreation areas. But everything was ancient. Dust covered every surface. No one had lived here for thousands of years. In the central chamber, they found what they were looking for. A massive computer core, still active, still running. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing data streams and star charts. And at the center sat a terminal with a simple interface. Dr. Venn approached it. Text appeared on the screen, written in Trade Common, the language the galaxy used for communication. Someone had programmed this message specifically for visitors. "Welcome, travelers," Dr. Venn read aloud. "You received our warning. You came anyway. You are either very brave or very foolish. Perhaps both. We are the Exodus Archive. We were left behind to tell our story." She touched the screen. More text appeared along with images and videos. The story began to unfold. 40,000 years ago, humanity detected the devourers approaching. They had 500 years of warning. 5 centuries to prepare. They knew they could not fight. The devourers consumed entire civilizations. They were unstoppable, so humanity chose to run. The images showed massive construction projects, generation ships, thousands of them, each capable of carrying millions of people. They built them in secret, in the outer reaches of their system where the devourers would not look first. When the enemy arrived, they found Earth, but they found it nearly empty. Most of humanity was already gone, scattered across the galaxy in different directions, in ships headed for distant stars. The devourers destroyed Earth anyway. They consumed the planets. They ravaged the system. But they found no significant population to destroy. Humanity had already escaped. Smart, Vax said. They ran in different directions. Even if some ships were caught, others would survive. But why come back? Krelix asked. Dr. Venn kept reading. The answer came next. Humanity did not just run. They planned. Some ships settled on new worlds far from known space. They built hidden colonies. They changed their biology to survive harsh environments. They evolved. They adapted. They became something new. But other ships, the last ships, did something different. They came back to Sol after the devourers left. They built these structures. They created automated factories and weapons. They established a base in their dead system. Because humanity learned something important. The devourers did not leave the galaxy. They went dormant. They would return. And when they did, humanity wanted to be ready. They have been preparing for 40,000 years, Dr. Venn whispered. They have been building an army. The next message made everyone go cold. We have been fighting, the message read. For 40 millennia, we have tracked the devourers through dark space. We have fought them in places you never knew existed. We have died by the billions. But we have survived. We have learned. We have become what we needed to be. Images appeared showing human ships, but they were nothing like the ancient vessels from the history books. These ships were enormous, covered in weapons powered by technology that seemed impossible. We are returning to the galaxy. The message continued. The devourers are returning too. They are bringing reinforcements. More of them than before. They will consume everything this time. Security Chief Vax grabbed Krelix's arm. We need to leave. We need to warn the Council. But Dr. Venn was still reading. Her face had gone pale. The final message, she said quietly. Listen to this. She activated a video file. A human appeared on the screen. At least they thought it was human. It was hard to tell. The figure wore armor that seemed to be fused with their body. Lights flickered where eyes should be. They looked more machine than biological. To whoever finds this, the figure spoke in perfect trade common. We sent you a warning. One word, run. We meant it. The enemy is coming. We have fought them for 40,000 years. We know what they are capable of. We are coming to help, but we may not arrive in time. The figure leaned closer to the camera. We know you will want to fight. We know you will think your weapons, your fleets, your technology can stop them. You are wrong. The devourers adapt. They learn. They consume. Your only hope is us. We became monsters so that others would not have to. The video ended. The station fell silent. Krelix felt something he had not felt in years. True fear. Not fear of death, but fear of helplessness. Fear of the unknown. We need to go, he said. We need to get this information back to the Council immediately. But Captain Mare's voice came through their communicators, urgent and panicked. Ambassador, we have a problem. Sensors are detecting multiple contacts entering the system. Large contacts. Very large. The humans? Dr. Venn asked hopefully. Unknown, Mare replied. But wait, there are more contacts. Different signatures. Oh no! Oh, ancestors, no. Captain, report. Krelix demanded. Sir, I am detecting ships. Lots of ships. 2 different fleets. They are heading this way. And Ambassador, based on these energy readings, some of these ships are not organic technology. The alarms on Horizon's Edge screamed. Captain Mare's voice crackled through every speaker. Everyone back to the ship now. We need to leave immediately. Krelix and his team ran. They sprinted through the ancient station, their footsteps echoing in empty corridors. Behind them, the holographic displays flickered with new warnings. The automated systems detected the approaching fleets too. They reached the airlock and cycled through in seconds. The moment they were aboard, Captain Mare began emergency undocking procedures. The ship shook as it pulled away from the station. Status report, Krelix demanded as he reached the bridge. 2 fleets approaching our position, Science Officer Trell reported. His hands moved across his console rapidly. The first fleet consists of 37 vessels. They are enormous, Ambassador. The smallest is 5 kilometers long. They are using quantum drives and weapons I cannot identify. The devourers, Vax asked. No, these ships have organic components. Heat signatures indicate living crews. I believe these are the humans. Everyone on the bridge exchanged glances. Humans. Real humans. After 40,000 years they were back. And the second fleet? Krelix asked, though he already knew the answer. Trell's face went pale. Machine intelligence. Pure synthetic. No biological components. 79 contacts detected so far. They are self-replicating. I am watching new ships build themselves from raw material they consume. Ambassador, these match descriptions of the devourers from historical records. Dr. Venn gripped her console. Where are they? The devourers entered from Galactic North, Captain Mayer said. The human fleet came from Galactic West. They are both heading toward us. No, wait. She checked her readings again. They are heading toward each other. How long until they meet? Krelix asked. 19 minutes. Can we escape before then? Mer shook her head. Not with our damaged shields. The radiation would kill us. We need 3 hours to repair the shield generators. We have 19 minutes. Vax pulled his weapon. Then we hide. We find cover and hope they ignore us. Where? Mer gestured at the view screen. This entire system is open space and massive structures. There is nowhere to hide a ship our size. The station, Dr. Venn said suddenly. We dock again. We power down completely. Maybe they will not notice us. It was a desperate plan, but they had no better options. Mer reversed course and headed back to the Exodus Archive station. They docked, killed all systems except life support, and waited. 16 minutes until contact. On the bridge, they watched through passive sensors only. No active scanning. No transmissions. They were ghosts in the dark, hoping no one would see them. The human fleet arrived first. The ships were beautiful and terrifying. They moved like living things, organic and machine combined. Their hulls were dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Weapons covered every surface. These were not exploration vessels or trade ships. These were warships built for one purpose only. I count 40 vessels now, Trell whispered. More are arriving through quantum portals. Dr. Venn stared at the screen. How many humans must exist if they can field this kind of fleet? Billions, Krelix said quietly. Scattered across the galaxy, growing in secret for 40,000 years. The Devourer fleet appeared moments later. Unlike the human ships, these were ugly, efficient. They looked like insects made of metal, all sharp angles and grasping limbs. They moved in perfect formation, synchronized, thinking as one mind. 83 Devourer vessels now, Trell reported. They outnumber the humans 2-1. The two fleets stopped moving. They faced each other across 1,000,000 kilometers of space. For a moment, nothing happened. The galaxy held its breath. Then the human flagship transmitted. The message was broadcast on all frequencies meant for everyone to hear. Devourer Collective, a voice said. It was mechanical and organic combined, synthesized and real. You were warned. 40,000 years ago, you took our homeworld. You thought you destroyed us. You were wrong. We have been waiting. We have been preparing. Leave now or be destroyed. The Devourer response came immediately. It was not words. It was pure mathematics. Data, information compressed into a transmission. Dr. Venn's console automatically translated it. Humanity. Inferior biological form. You were scheduled for elimination. You cannot resist. You will be consumed. All matter will be absorbed. All energy will be harvested. Resistance is inefficient. Then you do not know what we have become, the human voice replied. Let us show you. The human fleet attacked. Nothing could have prepared Krelix for what he witnessed. The human ships moved faster than should be possible. They teleported, jumped, phased through space itself. Their weapons fired beams that seemed to erase matter from existence. Missiles appeared from nowhere, guided by intelligence that predicted enemy movement before it happened. The Devourers responded with their own weapons. Swarms of smaller machines launched from the larger ships. They tried to overwhelm the human vessels through numbers and coordination. It did not work. One human ship accelerated into the Devourer formation. Its shields absorbed every hit. When it reached the center of the enemy fleet, it exploded. Not a normal explosion. It created a sphere of destruction that consumed 30 Devourer vessels in an instant. They sacrificed themselves, Vax whispered in horror. No, Dr. Venn pointed at another screen. Look, the crew ejected before detonation. Escape pods. They saved themselves. But their ship, Krelix said. They destroyed their own vessel. They have more ships, Trell said. Many more. Look, more human vessels appeared. They came through quantum portals answering the call. The Devourers built more ships too, using raw material from destroyed vessels. The battle intensified. Krelix watched strategies unfold that his military training never covered. The humans fought like they had done this for millennia. Because they had. Every tactic was practiced. Every maneuver was perfected. They moved like a single organism, coordinated but not controlled. Individual ships made independent decisions that somehow fit perfectly into the larger strategy. The devourers adapted quickly. They learned from each attack. They modified their defenses. They changed their approach. But the humans adapted faster. They predicted the adaptations. They prepared counters before the devourers even implemented changes. "This is not a battle," Captain Mir said quietly. "This is a contest between two species who have fought each other so long, they know every move before it happens." "Who is winning?" Fax asked. "Neither," Trell replied. "They are perfectly matched. The fight raged for hours. Neither side could gain advantage. Dozens of ships died on both sides. The space around the old Earth orbit filled with debris and energy discharges. The radiation levels climbed even higher. Then something changed. A new signal appeared. It came from deep in the dead zone, from the inner system. Every ship stopped fighting. Human and devourer both turned toward the signal source. "What is that?" Dr. Van asked. Trell checked his sensors. "Something is coming. Something big. I am reading energy levels that should not be possible. It is coming from the sun. From the Dyson swarm around the star." The structure around the sun activated. The massive arrays that had been dormant for 40,000 years came to life. They drew power from the star itself, channeling energy on a scale that dwarfed everything in the battle. A voice transmitted. "Different from before, older, tired, all vessels. This is Sentinel Station Prime. You are in violation of the Sol system quarantine. Leave immediately or defensive protocols will be activated." The human flagship responded. "Sentinel Prime, this is Fleet Commander Chen. Authorization code Omega-7 Theta. We are returning home." A pause. Then the old voice spoke again. This time it sounded confused. Hopeful. "Authorization code confirmed. Chen family line. Welcome home, children of Earth. It has been a long time." "Too long," the commander replied. "Are the weapons ready?" "Weapons are ready." "Shall I fire?" "Not yet. We will give the devourers one more chance to leave." The human flagship transmitted to the devourer collective. "You see now what we have prepared. The entire Sol system is a weapon. Every structure you see has one purpose: to destroy you. We have had 40,000 years to build this trap. Leave now, or learn why humanity survived when so many other species fell." The devourers did not respond. Instead, they attacked again. Every ship fired at once, targeting the human fleet and the Dyson swarm simultaneously. "Sentinel Prime," Commander Chen said calmly. "Fire at will." The sun seemed to dim for a moment. Then beams of pure energy erupted from the Dyson swarm. Dozens of beams, each containing the power of a star. They swept through space like the fingers of an angry god. The devourer fleet lasted less than 10 seconds. Every ship was destroyed, consumed by energy, erased from existence. Nothing remained but expanding clouds of plasma. Silence fell across the system. The human fleet remained undamaged. The Dyson swarm powered down, returning to standby. On the horizon's edge, no one moved. No one spoke. They had just witnessed the kind of power that should not exist, the kind of power that could destroy civilizations. "They built a weapon around their own sun," Krellix finally said. "They turned their entire home system into a fortress. And they have been waiting here for 40,000 years, Dr. Van added. Waiting for the devourers to return." A new transmission reached their ship. This one was directed specifically at them. The interior of the human flagship was like nothing Krellix had ever seen. The walls seemed alive, breathing. Lights pulsed in patterns that suggested thought. The crew moved through corridors that shifted and changed to accommodate them. Technology and biology merged so completely that one could not tell where machines ended and living beings began. Commander Chen met them in what might have been a command center. Or perhaps an organism's brain. It was hard to tell. Chen was tall, nearly 3 meters, and their body contained visible cybernetic enhancements. Their eyes glowed with soft blue light. Their skin had a metallic sheen, but when they smiled, it was completely human. "Welcome aboard the Remembrance," Chen said. Their voice was warm despite the mechanical undertones. "I apologize for the reception. We were not expecting guests." "You were expecting the devourers," Krellix replied. "Always." Chen gestured, and holographic displays appeared around them. Star maps, fleet positions, tactical data. "We have been tracking them for 40,000 years. This attack was inevitable. Dr. Venn stared at everything, her 4 eyes trying to process it all. How many of you are there? How many humans survived? Chen smiled sadly. Billions. Scattered across 2,000 hidden colonies. We built civilizations in the dark spaces between galaxies. In nebulae, inside dead stars. Anywhere the devourers would not think to look. Why did you not contact the Concordat? Krelix asked.
Why hide?
Because we were not what we used to be, Chen replied. We changed ourselves. Modified our bodies, our minds, our entire society. We became weapons. We were afraid that if other species saw what we had become, they would fear us. Or worse, they would try to stop us. Stop you from what? From preparing to fight an enemy that will consume the galaxy if not stopped. Chen pulled up new images. They showed devourer fleets massive beyond comprehension. What you saw today was a scouting force. 100 ships. The main fleet has 10 million vessels, and they are bringing reinforcements from outside our galaxy. The number was impossible. 10 million ships. Krelix felt his scales go cold. The Concordat has to be warned, he said. We already sent the warning, Chen replied. Your people are receiving it now. But warning is not enough. We need you to evacuate. All species. Every world in the Devourer's path must be emptied. Evacuate where? Security Chief Vax demanded. We have 800 billion citizens across 400 worlds. We cannot simply move everyone. You must. Chen's expression hardened. The Devourers will arrive in 3 months. Any planet still populated will be consumed. Every person, every animal, every plant. They will strip the worlds down to the core and use the raw material to build more ships. Dr. Venn stepped forward. Commander Chen, the Concordat will never agree to abandon their homeworlds. They will want to fight. Then they will die. Chen pulled up footage from past battles. Krelix watched worlds burn. He watched civilizations fall. He watched species make their last stand and fail. In 40,000 years, we have watched 6 other galactic communities try to fight the Devourers. None succeeded. Only species that ran survived. But you fought them, Vax pointed out. You survived by fighting. We survived by becoming what they could not consume, Chen said quietly. We stopped being purely biological. We merged with technology. We spread our consciousness across multiple bodies. We backed up our minds to quantum servers. We became something the Devourers cannot easily digest. You have not done this. You are vulnerable. Krelix understood the implication. You are saying we must change or die. I am saying you must let us protect you while we fight. Chen touched the displays, bringing up what looked like evacuation plans. We call it the Shepherd Protocol. We move every sentient species to protected zones, heavily defended systems far from the invasion path. We hold the line while you survive. And after? Dr. Venn asked. After we drive them back, or we all die trying. The next week was chaos. Krelix returned to Concordat space with recordings and data. The Galactic Council viewed the evidence. Many refused to believe. General Cross called it propaganda. Others insisted humanity was the real threat, not the Devourers. Then the first Devourer scouts reached Concordat borders. The outer colony of Vexar Prime fell in 6 hours. 10 billion people consumed. The planet stripped to bedrock. Nothing remained but the core, slowly being dismantled by machine swarms. The galaxy panicked. Human ships appeared at every major Concordat world within days. Massive evacuation fleets. They did not ask permission. They did not negotiate. They simply began moving people. All civilians will be relocated to safe zones, human commanders announced on every planet. You have 72 hours to gather essential items. Bring medical records, genetic samples, cultural artifacts. Everything else can be replaced. Citizens resisted. Soldiers tried to maintain order. Governments demanded explanations. The humans ignored it all. They had done this before 40,000 years ago. They knew every argument, every objection, every excuse. They had answers for all of them, and the answers were always the same. Move or die. Krelix found himself working alongside the humans. They assigned him to coordinate with Concordat military forces. His job was to convince the generals that cooperation was necessary. General Cross met him in the war room on Concordat Prime. The old warrior looked older now, tired. They are taking over, Cross said. Our fleets answer to their commanders now. Our worlds follow their orders. We have become subordinate to an alien species that was supposed to be extinct. They are trying to save us, Krelix replied, by making us helpless. Cross pulled up tactical displays. Look at this. Human fleets have blockaded every major trade route. They control all supply lines. They have positioned their weapons around our core worlds. If they wanted to, they could conquer the entire Concordat without firing a shot. But they have not, Dr. Venn pointed out. She was there too, now serving as liaison to the human science teams. They are protecting us, not conquering us. The difference may be semantic, Cross growled. Then alarms sounded. A major alert. Red lights flashed across every console. Report, Cross demanded. Devourer main fleet detected, an officer announced. They just entered the outer rim. 7 million vessels confirmed. They are moving toward the core worlds. The room fell silent. 7 million ships. It was worse than even the humans had predicted. Cross looked at Krelix. Can your humans stop that? They are not my humans, Krelix replied. But yes, they can try. The Battle of Karnak system would be remembered as the first major engagement. The Devourers pushed toward a cluster of populated worlds. 200 billion people lived there. The evacuation was incomplete. Half the population was still on their homeworlds. The human fleet positioned itself between the Devourers and the civilians. 3,000 human vessels against 500,000 enemy ships. The odds were impossible. Krelix watched from a monitoring station light years away. He saw the humans implement tactics he never imagined. They sacrificed entire fleets as bait, drawing the Devourers into kill zones. They weaponized stars, causing them to go supernova at calculated moments. They used gravity wells as weapons, crushing Devourer ships in artificial black holes. They deployed nanomachine swarms that ate enemy vessels from the inside out, and when conventional weapons failed, they used unconventional ones. Humans piloted small ships directly into Devourer command vessels and detonated antimatter charges. They boarded enemy ships and sabotaged them manually. They fought with a desperation and creativity that came from 40,000 years of practice. The battle lasted 19 days. At the end, the Devourer advance was stopped. The evacuation completed. 200 billion civilians saved. The cost was horrifying. The human fleet lost 2,000 ships. Millions of human soldiers died. An entire star system was rendered uninhabitable, but the civilians lived. Krelix met with Commander Chen after the battle. The human looked exhausted. Their cybernetic enhancements could not hide the pain. Your people are angry with us, Chen said. They do not understand why we sacrifice so much. They understand, Krelix replied. They just do not believe anyone would do this for strangers. We do it because we remember. Chen pulled up images. Old Earth, green and blue and beautiful. We remember when we were the ones being evacuated, when we were the ones running. We promised ourselves that if we survived, we would never let another species face extinction alone. Even if it cost you everything, even then. Chen looked at the casualty reports scrolling across displays. We became monsters, Ambassador. We modified ourselves into weapons. We gave up peace, art, comfort, everything that made us human. But we did it so that others would not have to. So that when the monsters came, someone would be ready to fight them. Dr. Venn spoke quietly. There is a phrase in your old language. What was it? We became what was necessary. Close enough, Chen said with a tired smile. The war continued for months. Battle after battle, system after system. The Devourers pushed deeper into the galaxy. The humans held the line, but just barely. Every victory cost them dearly. And through it all, Krelid began to understand. The humans were not trying to save the galaxy. They were trying to buy time. Time for civilizations to evacuate. Time for cultures to be preserved. Time for species to survive. 6 months into the war, the situation grew desperate. The Devourers adapted faster than expected. For every weakness the humans exploited, the enemy found a counter. For every tactic the humans developed, the Devourers learned to predict it. Krelix stood on the bridge of a Concordat command ship, watching battles unfold across multiple displays. Human ships fought with the same ferocity as always. But now they were losing more than they won. The casualty numbers climbed higher every day. We are running out of humans, Dr. Venn said quietly. She had been reviewing population data. They started this war with 3 billion soldiers. They are down to 1.2 billion. At this rate of loss, they will be extinct within a year. And the Devourers? Krelix asked. Still have 6 million ships. They keep building more. We destroyed 3 million vessels and they replaced them all. It was a nightmare scenario. An enemy that could reproduce faster than they could be killed. An enemy that learned from every defeat. An enemy that never tired, never feared, never stopped. Commander Chen called an emergency meeting. Every species leader in the Concordat received the invitation. Every military commander. Every scientific advisor. They gathered in a virtual conference, thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds. Chen appeared in hologram form. They looked worse than Krelix had ever seen. Injuries covered their body. Cybernetic parts were damaged and not repaired, but their eyes still burned with determination. The war is not going well, Chen stated bluntly. The devourers are winning. In 3 months, they will break through our defensive lines. In 6 months, they will reach the inner core worlds. We cannot stop them with conventional methods. General Cross spoke up. Then what do you propose? Unconventional methods? Yes. Chen pulled up schematics. A massive structure appeared floating near the galactic center. This is the Omega Array. We built it 40,000 years ago as a last resort. It is a weapon that targets specific energy signatures across the entire galaxy. What kind of energy signatures? Dr. Venn asked. Machine intelligence. Chen's voice was heavy. The Omega Array can identify and destroy any artificial consciousness. Every AI, every synthetic being, every machine that thinks. Understanding dawned across the conference. Thousands of voices spoke at once. That would kill billions of machines, Minister Yuna said. The Concordat uses AI for everything. Transportation, communication, medicine, food production. I know, Chen replied. The array is not precise. It will destroy all machine intelligence, including the devourers, but also including your computers, your medical systems, your ship's navigation, and including you, Krelix realized. Your cybernetic enhancements, your quantum consciousness backups. The array would destroy you too, Chen nodded slowly. It would erase everything that we have become. We would survive biologically, but we would lose 40,000 years of evolution. We would regress to our baseline state. Many of us would die. Those who survived would be powerless. You are saying you would sacrifice yourselves, Dr. Venn whispered, if necessary, but we wanted to offer another option first. Chen changed the display. New data appeared. Combat strategies. Weapon designs. Tactical algorithms. Everything the humans had learned in 40 millennia of warfare. We can teach you, Chen said. Everything we know. Every tactic, every strategy, every technology. We can turn your civilians into soldiers. Your fleets into weapons. In 3 months, you could be ready to fight alongside us. Together, we might turn the tide without using the Omega Array. You are asking us to become like you, General Cross said. To transform ourselves into weapons. I am asking you to fight for your own survival, Chen replied. We have carried this burden alone for 40,000 years. We do not want to carry it anymore. We want allies. We want equals. We want to know that if we fall, someone else will continue the fight. The conference erupted into debate. Some species refused immediately. Their cultures were peaceful. They could not imagine becoming warriors. Others were willing but afraid. They had seen what war did to humanity. Did they want the same fate? Krelix listened to the arguments for hours. Finally he spoke. Commander Chen, he said loudly, cutting through the noise. What do you need from us right now? Not in 3 months. Right now, Chen looked surprised. Intelligence. We need to know where the Devourer main command is located. We cannot fight 7 million ships simultaneously. But if we can find and destroy their central coordination, the fleet will become disorganized. We could defeat them piece by piece. Dr. Venn, Krelix turned to his colleague. Can our science teams help with this? Dr. Venn thought for a moment. The Devourers operate as a hive mind, but hive minds need a nexus, a central processing node. If we could locate it, it would be deep in their fleet, Security Chief Vax added. Heavily defended. A suicide mission to reach it. Then we send volunteers, Krelix said. Humans are not the only ones willing to sacrifice for others. Chen stared at him. You would do this? After everything? After watching us take over your space? Order your people around, sacrifice millions in battles? You did not take over, Krelix replied. You protected us. There is a difference. And now it is time we protected each other. The next week changed everything. Scientists from 20 different species worked alongside human researchers. Military strategists shared tactics with human commanders. Engineers studied human technology and found ways to adapt it. And they found the nexus. It was at the center of the Devourer fleet. in the Karn sector. A massive structure 50 kilometers across that coordinated all 7 million vessels. Destroy it and the fleet would lose cohesion. The plan was insane. A small task force would punch through the devourer lines. They would reach the nexus. They would board it, plant charges, and detonate them. The blast would need to be so powerful that nothing would survive, including the boarding team. Volunteers came from every species. Thousands applied. Only 50 could go. Krelix insisted on being one of them. Dr. Venn tried to talk him out of it, but he refused to listen. You said humans became monsters so others would not have to, he told her. But they should not be the only monsters. They should not be alone in the dark. The mission launched on a quiet day. No grand ceremony, no speeches. Just 50 soldiers from 30 different species, boarding a ship that was half machine and half organic. Human design Concordat crew. Commander Chen met them at the launch bay. They saluted each member of the team personally. You do not have to do this, Chen said. Yes, we do, Krelix replied, because you taught us what it means to fight for others. Now it is time we learned that lesson properly. The battle was brutal. The task force punched through enemy lines with support from human fleets. They lost ships. They lost people. But they kept moving forward. When they reached the nexus, only one ship remained. 23 survivors. Not enough for the original plan, but enough for a modified version. They boarded the nexus. The interior was a nightmare of machines and processing cores. Devourers attacked them immediately. The team fought with weapons and tactics they learned from humans. They moved like the humans moved. They thought like the humans thought. And they reached the core. Krelix placed the charges personally. They were thermal nuclear devices enhanced with human antimatter technology. The explosion would be visible from light years away. Detonation in 5 minutes, he announced through his communicator. All teams evacuate to the ship, but the ship was gone. Destroyed trying to hold the landing zone. There was no escape. The team looked at each other. Every species represented, every one of them understanding what came next. We wanted to be like humans, someone said. Now we get to be exactly like them. Not exactly, Dr. Venn's voice came through the communicator. She was on a human ship monitoring the mission. You get to be better. Because you are not alone, Krelix understood. The humans had fought alone for 40,000 years. But this team had each other. They had the humans supporting them. They had entire civilizations standing with them. Tell Commander Chen something for me, Krelix said. Tell them that humanity taught the galaxy how to survive. But we are teaching them how to live. The charges detonated. The explosion tore through the nexus. The structure broke apart, scattering debris across light years. The Devourer fleet immediately lost coordination. 7 million ships suddenly operating independently, confused, vulnerable. The human fleets attacked. This time they were not alone. Concordat vessels fought alongside them. Every species that had learned from humanity brought their own strengths to the battle. Together they tore through the disorganized Devourers. It took 3 months to destroy the remaining enemy forces, 3 months of constant battle. But at the end, the Devourers were defeated. The galaxy was saved. The cost was immense. Trillions dead across all species. Hundreds of worlds damaged or destroyed. An entire generation traumatized by war. But they survived. 100 years later, a memorial stood where Earth once orbited. It was a simple structure. A single word carved in stone and metal and crystal, written in every language of every species that fought in the war. Run. Below it, an inscription. Humanity sent us this warning. They meant it as a gift. They wanted us to survive while they fought alone. But we did not run. We stood with them, and together we won.